close.
He reserves and is prepared to close.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, you know, this is a terrible bill, and I urge everybody to vote no. Again, this is an important topic. This is about whether or not people can basically have their basic rights upheld and respected in this country. You know, we're in the midst of a healthcare crisis, a crisis that Republicans are refusing to address, and more than 20 million Americans who get their health care on the ACA exchanges are going to see their premiums skyrocket in less than a month. There are only 12 legislative days left with this House to fix this problem before disaster strikes millions of American families. And what are the Republicans focused on? Non-existent foreign influence in kindergarten classes. You can make this up. You can't make this up. It is not for the lack of opportunity to do the right thing. Over and over, Democrats have offered the Republican majority in the House and the Senate a lifeline to vote to extend these credits and to get out of their own way. In fact, we've given them 19 separate chances to vote to extend the ACA credits. They've voted no on each and every one. And this point, in this PQ vote today, will be Congressional Republicans' 20th opportunity to vote to prevent the health insurance costs of millions of Americans. Their constituents, my constituents, from rising significantly. It is past time for them to do the right thing for the sake of millions of Americans and their health care. I urge my Republican colleagues to support this extension and to vote on the previous question. And I ask unanimous consent, Mr. Speaker, to insert the text of my amendment into the record along with extraneous material immediately prior to the vote on the previous question.
Without objection.
Where's the closing?
Gentleman from Virginia.
Mr. Speaker, let me first urge passage of this rule to help bring more transparency and oversight into our schools, into our children's. Oh, he didn't yield back, sorry. I was closing. I apologize, Mr. Speaker. I reserve.
Okay. Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman from Massachusetts recognized.
For how long?
3 minutes.
All right, Mr. Speaker, make no mistake, this Republican majority is failing spectacularly, and the American people know it. They have now had 12 months, a full year, to do something, anything, to bring down prices, to lower costs, to focus on housing or health care or food prices or transportation. That's what I hear about when I talk to people back home. They want the government to focus on housing costs, health care, child care, food, transportation. They want a Congress that makes it easier to buy a home, raise a family, build a life. And instead, we get a bunch of absurd bills that nobody asked for. Republicans want to bring up legislation addressing foreign influence in our kids' classrooms. How about they start addressing foreign influence in the Oval Office? How about Qatar gifting a new Air Force One to Trump? What was that in exchange for? And how about the $20 billion Trump gave to his friend in Argentina? And how about the lavish dinner he just held for the Saudi prince who murdered a U.S. journalist? No, no, no. Republicans don't want you to ask about that foreign interference. You need to worry about the Chinese government getting involved in your kids' math class. I mean, that's what they say. I mean, is this the Republican majority for real? This is insane. These guys have had a full year to do something for working families, to bring down food prices, to reduce health care costs for regular people, to take on corporate greed, to lower everyday expenses. They've done nothing. Instead, they've defended Trump's tariffs, they've passed tax cuts for billionaires, they've protected special interests while regular families are getting screwed. They've shoveled subsidies and giveaways to greedy CEOs while families struggle to pay for groceries and rent. Quite frankly, we don't share the same values. Democrats want a very different government. We want a government that stands up to corporate greed, a government that uplifts workers, empowers consumers, and fights on the side of everyday people. We want a Congress that takes on special interests and doesn't reward them. And we believe in passing big, bold, consequential bills that make life better for everyday people, not creating hotlines that already exist, and certainly not going on a taxpayer-funded vacation for 8 weeks like Republicans did in October and November. The American people deserve so much better. They deserve leaders that fight for them, not a Republican majority that worships Donald Trump and rewards his wealthy friends. I urge a no vote on this rule, Mr. Speaker. It is pathetic that we are here talking about this stuff and not talking about ways to keep the government open and to make sure that people can afford their health care and can afford other things. There's too much attention being showered on those who are well off and well connected, who are connected to this president, who give him gifts, and who write up big checks to this administration. We have to put regular people first. And with that, I again urge a no vote on the rule, and I yield back.
Members are reminded to refrain from engaging in personalities toward the president. Gentleman from Virginia is recognized.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm going to surprise you. I'm actually going to talk about what we're supposed to talk about. That would be the rule. I'm not going to talk about everything that's out there that I think ought to be changed in the world, and I'm not going to say that if you don't do everything I want done, that we shouldn't pass anything. Because if you vote this rule down, you're basically saying, if you're not going to do what I want, shouldn't do anything. I don't believe that's the way a legislative body ought to operate. I urge passage of this rule in order to bring more transparency and oversight into our children's schools, to ensure that our children are not being improperly influenced by foreign actors, or that foreign actors aren't using contributions to our schools to benefit themselves. You know, one of our colleagues on the Ed and Workforce Committee did a whole hearing on the Chinese Communist Party back in 2023, and part of what this bill is addressing are issues that were brought out at that time. One of which struck home was Fairfax County's Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology, which at one time was the #1 high school in the United States of America. It has apparently slipped to #5. I did some checking before I came here today. But they received over $3 million from Chinese entities, and in return, the top-ranked high school in the United States gave them all the techniques that we're using to teach our students to be better scientists, to be better in the technology field, to be better in mathematics, to be able to compete better with the United States. Doesn't make any sense. That's why one of these bills or some of these bills are great bills that make sure that we're reining that in, that we know about it, that the parents know about it, that the government knows about it, that we know if we're getting people from foreign money influencing our schools, our students, or maybe stealing our ideas. These bills help our small businesses. And on top of, and I talked a lot about that earlier, but on top of that, we take the first step, and as I said in the beginning and said in the debate, not the last step, to bring integrity into the name, image, and likeness NIL process in college sports by setting up a federal framework, not possibly 50, we already have 30, but a federal framework to ensure that we have fairness across the board on college athletics. Mr. Speaker, I urge the passage of this rule so that we can bring about these good policies and we can debate all the other things that ail the world another day. And with that, Mr. Speaker, and I move the previous question on the resolution, and with that, Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
The gentleman yields. The question is on ordering the previous question on the resolution. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Mr. Speaker? The gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized.
I ask for the yeas and nays.
The yeas and nays are requested. Those favoring a vote by the yeas and nays will rise. A sufficient having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, further proceedings on this question will be postponed. Pursuant to Clause 12 of
On this vote, the yeas are 210 and the nays are 205. The previous question is ordered. The question is on adoption of the resolution. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chairs, the ayes have it.
Mr. Speaker,
The gentleman is recognized.
I ask for a recorded vote.
A recorded vote has been requested. Those favoring a recorded vote will rise. A sufficient number having risen, a recorded vote is ordered. Members will record their vote by electronic device. This is a 5-minute vote.
Pillars of strength we have counted on are overcome by the waves of tumult and change. You have the power to bring down the powerful from their thrones. Can we even hope that you will show favor to the humble? Yes, God, for you alone are our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in times of trouble. You alone will be exalted. Your mercy extends to those who fear you from generation to generation, and you have promised to fill the hungry with good things. And so we lay before you all our cares and believe that you care for us. Let us be still and know that you are God, today and always. In your sovereign name we pray. Amen.
The chair has examined the journal of the last day's proceeding and announces to the House the approval thereof. Pursuant to Clause 1 of Rule 1, the journal stands approved. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by the gentlewoman from Iowa, Ms. Henson.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The chair will entertain up to 15 requests for 1-minute speeches on each side of the aisle. For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Iowa seek recognition? Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to recognize Dr. Wendy Winterstein, president of Iowa State University, on her retirement next month after more than 40 years of distinguished service. Dr. Winterstein has been a remarkable leader whose commitment to her students and to the state of Iowa has left a lasting impact on the institution. She brought the Innovate at Iowa State vision to life, solidifying the school's role as a national leader in research and entrepreneurship. Under her leadership, Iowa State University has advanced cutting-edge research to strengthen Iowa agriculture. She supported world-class faculty and helped prepare the next generation of leaders and innovators to solve challenges and better our state and our nation. My husband, Matt, an Iowa State alum, and I, of course, look forward to many more Cyclones games and know that Dr. Winterstein will be cheering on the Clones for many more years to come. So thank you, and congratulations, Dr. Winterstein, on your retirement. I yield back, Mr. Speaker.
For what purpose does the gentleman from New York seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I request unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute and to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor the life of Maureen Ann Fitzsimons, born and raised in Larchmont, who passed away the day before Thanksgiving. Maureen, a bright and engaging young woman, leaves behind her mother, 2 brothers, and adoring nieces and nephews after a 15-year battle with cancer that began at age 30. She attended St. John's and Paul's School and the Ursuline School, continued on to earn her undergraduate degree from Georgetown University, and went on to earn her JD from St. John's Law School. During her school years, she was an athlete as well on the tennis and the track teams. Her optimism and warmth shone through the many years despite her health concerns, whether at work or sailing at the Larchmont Yacht Club. She lived her life to the fullest as best she could. Last night, her friends and family gathered to pay her final homage before today's funeral mass at St. Augustine's Roman Catholic Church in Larchmont. She deserved a better fate, a longer life, but she made her mark nonetheless. We salute that life and mourn her passing. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Pennsylvania seek recognition? For what purpose does the gentleman from Nebraska seek recognition? The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to applaud YouTube TV and Hulu Plus Live TV for expanding public access to Congress by carrying C-SPAN, C-SPAN 2, and C-SPAN 3 beginning next week. For 46 years, C-SPAN's respected nonprofit service has offered Americans unfiltered gavel-to-gavel coverage of their government in action. However, millions of streaming households were left without this vital window into the debates and decisions which shape our nation. By adding the C-SPAN networks, YouTube TV and Hulu Plus Live TV are making a strong and I hope enduring commitment to public service, transparency, and civic engagement. They now join cable and satellite providers like Comcast, Charter, Cox, DirecTV, and Dish in supporting a treasured service that strengthens accountability and confidence in our democratic systems. This is a big win for the American people. Full access will help inform the public no matter how they choose to watch. I thank YouTube TV, I thank Hulu Plus Live TV for their important decision, and I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Texas seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask to address the House for 1 minute.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
We all mourn the loss from the tragic attack on 2 National Guards members here in Washington last week. Yet once again, the master of distraction seeks to avoid any accountability for his role in this tragedy. Only 7 months earlier, the Trump administration granted the asylum to the assassin. Big unanswered questions for the president. What specific vetting was done with regard to the 3 years that this assassin lived here in America? Was his prior post-traumatic stress from his violent work considered? Was the caseworker who reported his possible radicalization interviewed and reviewed? Was his inability to even get a job a factor? Did this review include biometric information, check social media platforms, and other steps? Instead of blaming all immigrants, blaming Biden, how about just looking in the mirror and figuring out what went wrong here in this regime and how to fix it in order to avoid another tragedy? Americans deserve accountability and answers. I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Mississippi seek recognition? Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, today I rise to recognize an extraordinary public servant from Jones County, Mr. Paul Sheffield, whose career reflects a lifetime of dedication to the safety and well-being of Mississippi families. Paul began his public service in 1998 with the City of Laurel's Traffic Maintenance Division. By 2001, he was serving as a police officer in the town of Sandersonville and soon joined the Jones County Sheriff's Emergency Operations Center, working as a dispatcher, operations officer, reserve deputy, and a K-9 deputy. In 2005, Paul continued his calling as a MEMA and area coordinator, serving for 11 years during that role. During that time, he and his wife, Tracy, whom he married in 1999, welcomed their son Caleb through adoption in 2010 and celebrated the birth of their daughter in 2013. His commitment to service grew right alongside his family. After leaving MEMA in 2016, Paul served with the Emergency Management District of Forest County. In 2018, he became Executive Director of Jones County Emergency Operations Center. He holds the distinction of Mississippi Certified Emergency Manager and has served as both Vice President and President of the Mississippi Civil Defense Emergency Management Agency. Nationally, he is recognized as a Certified Emergency and Disaster Professional. His service also extends into the 9/11 Coordinators Association and 6 years with the Jones County Coroner's Office, where he continues to serve as Deputy Medical Examiner. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sheffield's decades of leadership and dedication have strengthened the emergency preparedness across our state. I'm proud to honor him today in his lifetime of service.
Does the gentleman from North Carolina seek recognition? Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to speak about rural America and the challenges it's facing. People back home in eastern North Carolina are concerned about the lack of investment in rural communities, programs that are hard to access, high input costs, low return on their crops, and increasing debt just to keep the farm open. That is why I'm introducing 2 key bills to strengthen rural communities and family farms. The Rural Uplift and Revitalization Assistance Act will provide necessary technical assistance for rural communities to improve access to rural development programs. The Farm Transitions Act of 2025 will reauthorize the Commission on Farm Transitions and require it to release a report with recommendations to help farms transition to the next generation. These bills will make it easier to access rural development programs and for our next generation of farmers to keep the rich agriculture tradition alive. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from West Virginia seek recognition?
Ask unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute and rise and extend.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise to speak as a witness to the power of prayer. Last week, my constituent, Andrew Wolf, was attacked by an Islamic terrorist here in Washington, D.C. He is still fighting for his life. I know Andrew's family. We've spoken many times, and I will tell you, he is improving right now, but we need to continue to pray for him. It is actually working. Prayer works. And behind the speaker's rostrum here, it says very clearly, "In God we trust." And indeed we do, and indeed we must trust in God and His saving power and continue to pray for Andy Wolf. He's currently able to move some of his fingers and hands and toes. He's not completely woken up yet. But please, everyone across the aisle, across this entire building, continue to pray, and across this great country of ours, pray for my constituent, Andy Wolf. Thank you so much. I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Maryland seek recognition? Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, in the spirit of Giving Tuesday, I rise to urge my colleagues to join me in supporting a measure at a time when our country needs it most. We're giving in your time or treasure. Today is the day when we give to those organizations across the country who help others all year long. Ahead of Thanksgiving, I introduced the Food Bank Emergency Support Act, which will protect our nation's food banks from future lapses in government funding like the recent government shutdown. During the 43-day period, 42 million Americans struggled to put food on the table. These individuals were recipients of SNAP, our largest anti-hunger initiative. When SNAP assistance is halted, the burden shifts to local food pantries, funded by the Emergency Food Assistance Program, or TFAP, which typically provides 1 meal for every 9 offered through SNAP. My legislation would automatically double TFAP funding during future funding lapses so food pantries can respond swiftly. This will supplement the giving that is given today and many days by nonprofits across the country so no one goes hungry. By setting politics aside, we can prioritize the health and well-being of all Americans and give back. I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Ohio seek recognition?
And revise my remarks.
Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise to recognize several North Canton first responders as Ohio's 13th Congressional District Champions of the Week. In the early hours of October 9th, Sergeant Cody Dollinger, Officer Adam Kuhnum, Officer Michael Fultz, and firefighter paramedic Eli Bossler of the North Canton Police and Fire Departments responded to reports of gunfire and injuries at a local apartment complex. In a remarkable act of bravery, Sergeant Dollinger and his team successfully rescued a wounded woman from the window of her apartment and brought her to safety with medical professionals, all while the alleged assailant continued to fire shots from inside the apartment building. In the end, without discharging their firearms, Canton Regional SWAT successfully apprehended the suspected shooter. Mr. Speaker, on October 9th, before many of us had left the comfort of our homes or checked our emails or even had a cup of coffee, Sergeant Dolinger, Officer Kunum, Officer Fultz, and firefighter paramedic Bossler accomplished an incredible feat of bravery and heroism, reminding us how important they are for the safety and security of our communities. Again, I want to extend my sincere gratitude to Sergeant Dolinger and his entire team, as well as our North Canton and Canton first responders who risk their lives every day to stop and battle evils only they can stop. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield back.
The chair lays before the House a message.
To the Congress of the United States, I'm hereby notifying the Congress that I intend to designate Christian Schrank, Deputy Inspector General for Investigations, Department of Health and Human Services, Office of Inspector General, as Acting Inspector General for the Federal Housing Finance Agency in place of the current Acting Inspector General James Lyle. Such designation will be effective no less than 30 days from delivery of this message. The Constitution vests the executive power in the President, who has a duty to take care that the laws be faithfully executed. U.S. Constitution, Article 2, Section 1, Clause 1, at Section 3. In exercising that power and duty, I have determined that based on the qualities outlined in 5 United States Code 403A and the confidence I must place in my appointees, Mr. Schrank is the best available person to serve as Acting Inspector General of the Federal Housing Finance Agency at this time. In my judgment, Mr. Lyle can better serve the nation performing other duties, i.e. returning to his position as the Federal Housing Finance Agency's Audit Director. I am providing this notification as a courtesy, a show of comedy and respect between the executive and legislative branches. It should not be interpreted as a concession that the Congress can limit my power to remove any officer, because no single person could fulfill the President's responsibilities alone. The framers expected that the President would rely on subordinate officers for assistance. SELA Law, LLC v. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, 591 United States 197 203-204, 2020. And the